Welcome to It's a Woman's World, a show which looks at any and all topics under the sun from a woman's point of view. Hosted today by Junita Cathey. Here's Junita.
Thank you for joining us on It's a Woman's World. My name is Junita Cathey, and I'm your host for today. And I'm joined by my fabulous co-host, Nava Johnson. Hello.
Hello.
And Nadia Jordana.
Hi, nice to be here.
Susan Strauss.
Howdy, Junita.
Hello, Susan. And we have our special guest today, Jen Espinosa-Goswami.
Yes.
She is a health coach, a speaker, and founder of Weightless. And thank you for joining us today.
Thanks for having me. It's great to be in such good company.
Thank you.
Can you speak about your personal journey that helped you start Weightless?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, I'm one of those children who was always fat. I was always the big girl. I was always chubby. The last time I wore a bikini was probably when I was 3 years old. So, and that'll probably be the last time ever I've worn one. So, I just always was chubby, and I never worried about it. You know, even though I had some medical red flags, my doctor said lose weight. I'm like, oh, what does the doctor know? It's just something I never really worried about because I was young and invincible, like everyone is. And eventually, I struggled, and I had problems. I almost died when I was 17.
Oh,
Wow.
I had an emergency surgery that was complications from being obese. And by the time I was 20 years old, I was 100 pounds overweight.
oh.
Wow.
Now, if you're not aware, that means you're morbidly obese. And these days, it's perhaps more common than it was when I was 20 years old. But that was also the year that my grandmother passed away. And my grandmother, Grandma Espinosa, was a fantastic role model to me. She was kind of the matriarch of our family. She meant a lot to me. And she passed away in the hospital 1 week after she turned 88 years old. And unfortunately, I was going to college at the time. It was my senior year of college. I couldn't go to her funeral, which really kind of, I regret even today. I couldn't go to her funeral. But after that, I looked at my life and I said, what am I doing? You know, I'm not living the way she lived and she taught me to live. I'm not living a healthy life. And I thought to myself, well, I'll be lucky if I reach 80 years old. I'll be lucky if I reach 50 years old. I had surgery 3 years ago and I almost died. So I just took my health under control. I took a pen in my hand and I started writing down what I was doing. And I realized that a lot of people out there who do struggle with their weight are told a lot of bad information.
When you said you started writing things down, what do you mean by writing things down?
I wrote down what I ate because the first step to change anything you do, your habits, is awareness. And a lot of people who are overeating aren't aware that they're doing it. For one thing, if you go to a restaurant, there's this huge plate of food in front of you. You don't realize that it's probably triple the size of what it was 20 years ago. It's just awareness. So I needed to create that awareness for me, and I took a pen to write it down. Today we have apps and things like that can help us with creating awareness around what we're doing. But for me, it was a pen and paper.
So
And it worked?
you knew enough about yourself and what was going on to virtually instinctively know what you should do as a first step. How did you come up with the idea of the very first step to do?
That's a really good question. I'm actually kind of a guinea pig when it comes to things, which is why I think I'm a good entrepreneur, because I'm like, I'm not sure what I'm doing, but I'm going to try it and see what happens. So when I took the pen and started writing down what I was eating, I didn't have a set plan in my head. But I did say, I'm going to be aware of what I'm eating, and I'm going to try to keep my calories to such and such a number. I'm going to try to keep my fat to such and such a number, and fiber such and such a number, because I hated vegetables, and I knew that eating fiber was the way to feel full so that I didn't overeat.
Yeah.
So I said, okay, I don't have to eat vegetables. I can eat beans. I can eat all sorts of other things that have lots of fiber. That was my tentative game plan, and I've changed my habits many times over the years, even after I lost 100 pounds. So I'm willing to try new things. I'm always looking for something new to try, something new to taste, some new exercise to get into and get excited about. And I think that's what's really important when it comes to maintaining the lifestyle.
You're a bit of an innovator, I think, from hearing you talk, because as I understand, you didn't use any structured diet plan out there.
I didn't, and one of the reasons was because I was a poor college graduate. I didn't have any money, and I wasn't going to buy into something that was going to cost me hundreds of dollars.
Yeah.
But the reality is you don't need to spend hundreds and thousands of dollars, and it's best if you don't, because a lot of times what you're buying into is a product. You don't know what's in that product. Or you're buying a service if you're paying for a personal trainer. That's fine. They're showing you what you need to know. The problem is you don't know what to do when you're done with your trainer, and you cannot pay for a trainer for the rest of your life. So there are certainly good services out there to get you started, but I like to talk to people about their plan for life. because it is a lifetime thing.
Yes.
And if you're not able to, if you can do it for 3 months, that's great. If you can do it for your life, then you're set.
So what do we do? What do we do? I think weight is probably always, I mean, I've always struggled with weight, and I had recently lost about 30 pounds, but you know what? I'm starting to see the pounds come back on, and I know part of it is I'm back to eating lousy again. I love my darn chocolate, and when I'm stressed, I eat, and I like carbs, not the healthy kind, but the non-healthy kind. So what do we do? What do we do to not have that happen?
Well, one of the things I like to talk about when I speak around the Twin Cities is how to fill up your plate. For one thing, I'm not anyone's mother. I have 2 children of my own, and I'm not trying to tell people what they shouldn't eat. Because as soon as someone tells you what not to eat,
then
you
you
go
must
and
eat.
eat that,
Yeah.
right? That's what I used to do. My mom would say, don't eat chips, so I would go and eat a whole bag of chips. You know, I don't feel it's healthy to eliminate anything from your diet. So you're talking about healthy carbs, chocolate. Have chocolate if you feel like it, but it's all about your portions.
Yes.
So if you have a little square of chocolate once a week, that's probably not going to derail your efforts.
But honey, that's not going to fill my need either.
You know, it sounds like, Jen, that you offer a safe, non-judgmental, but information-packed way for the average person that may be struggling with their weight. You have some options that can help or even encourage them as they try to prepare themselves. As we wrap up our segment for today, can you tell us how people can learn more information about you, or just kind of what you're doing, or how to get more information about just the encouragement that you're offering for people on this journey?
Absolutely. Well, I have a website called Weightless, and you can visit it at weightlesschronicles.com. I offer coaching services. It's a 3-month package for anyone who's interested, and I do talk about information. I give all the information. I look at what your particular struggles are, and then we work together for those 3 months so that you can go and do your own thing, and you can do it for the rest of your life. That's what my goal is. And I also speak throughout the Twin Cities. I have a free report on my website that anyone can use to lose 5 pounds, and it's not this eat only salmon and quinoa for the rest of your days. It's not that type of weight loss. It's more like put the food away after you're done eating it so you don't snack on it. Those types of things that anyone can do. So all of those things are available on my website. And you can find me all over social media as well. I'm very social, so come find me. Facebook, Twitter, I'm all over.
I've also read, and I've tried this, and I think it helps, that instead of using a regular size plate, that you use a smaller plate. And it gives you the sense that you've got a full meal, which probably is true, but not the full meal you'd have with a great big dinner plate. Is that something that you're familiar with, or that you expound on with anyone, or?
Absolutely. In fact,
that?
the salad plate is a very good technique to use, especially as you're creating awareness around what you're eating and how much you're eating. There are also other techniques like the color of your plate. If you eat on a white plate, you're more likely to eat more. If it's a darker colored plate, you might eat less.
All my plates are black.
Mine are white. Mine are white.
I bet you didn't know that.
I did not know that.
Really?
That
A
is
dark I'm going out to buy dark plates.
Can I ask you a question? How did you gain all this knowledge besides obviously
Oh,
learning
good
through
question.
your personal journey?
Thank you for asking that, because you know, a lot of my experiences come from what I did as I was losing weight, but I'm a big learner and I'm a big reader. I love to read everything I can get my hands on. So I've read just about every weight book out there, and this is after I lost weight, because I'm like, okay, what worked for these people? What worked for these people? And I found that there are a lot of commonalities. I'm also a member of the National Weight Control Registry, which Nadia is a member of as well. And what they do is they send us an annual survey about our habits. And they send that information and research to us from time to time so that I'm aware of what the science is telling us. I'm very much into science and what is current. But I reach out to people and I say, what's working for you? I listen to the common questions that people ask. Every woman I've approached has always said, oh, I struggle with my weight, regardless of whether I think she looks overweight or not. Every woman can relate to that idea of trying to hold back in some way or another. So, you know, I just listen to what people say, but I read all the time. I've reviewed a lot of books. I write articles, weekly blog articles for my website. It's just something that I'm passionate about and I always keep aware of.
So are you a proponent of exercise then as well?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You got to move more.
That's what I think too. That's how I lost my weight, I think.
Absolutely. Yeah. I do feel that it's the approach to weight loss, the best approach is to combine better eating habits with exercise. But I realize that a lot of people are busy and can't do both at one shot, and that might not
makes it
work for them
hard.
as well.
Yeah.
So I like to focus on one thing at a time. I help create focus. I help do it one step at a time. And that's how you do it for life. Because,
Lifestyle
if you do it at
changes.
Exactly. It happens just one little bit at a time.
And I think another piece that you were talking about in the beginning, as you talked about your grandmother passing, is you were ready. You didn't know what you were ready for, but you were ready for something different. And when we listen to that and we start to follow it, you started to pick up a pen. And that's how change happens. Once you listen to the fact that I'm ready for change, and the first step, you may not know what to do or where to go, but you take action. Yours was writing. And you did that. And did you ever think you were going to make a business out of this? Did you ever think you were going to be at this point?
Absolutely not. It was the last thing I thought I would do, and I never dreamed of being an entrepreneur
And
or
that
being
was
a health
more
coach.
than 10 years ago, wasn't it?
That was quite a while ago, yeah. 13, 14 years now.
Yeah.
It's been a while. Yeah.
Well, good for you. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And thank you again, Jen, for joining us today and sharing more about your journey and educating us more about Weightless.
Thank you.
And also thank you for agreeing to stick around with us as we begin our panel discussion around appearance. There have been quite a few campaigns that are highlighting women in our quest for the perfect body or loving the body that you're in. Why do you think there's such a big deal about women and appearance? Why is there a big difference between women in their appearance and men in their appearance? What are some of your opinions or your feedback on that topic?
Well, personally, I think it ties into how we're socialized at very, very young ages. It begins with such things as little girls that are 3 to be the princess with the golden hair and the tiara and looking pretty. It begins with moving upward, and little girls as young as 5 are saying to their moms, "Mom, am I too fat?" I think a lot of it gets into our body image with appearance, and how, as you were talking earlier about this whole weight thing, I think it plays a role. I think even age plays a role. I had this darn skin cancer removed 2 weeks ago, and the day I had it removed, I had to go do a training, and I had this great big white bandage, and I thought, oh, geez, and I'm thinking, do I want to appear in front of an audience like this? And then, what the heck, I didn't care. And it was, I'm sure, because I'm getting old. It just wasn't all that important anymore. And I think age, I don't know, Nadia, you and I are about the same.
We're about the same.
Do I want to look nice? Yes. Do I still want to wear makeup? Yes. But geez, I got this darn menopausal belly now, and I've got wrinkles, and do I like it? No, but that's the way it is. What do you think?
I think I agree with you that after you get, and there's no cutoff line, that age where you feel a little bit more comfortable, but you've had all those embarrassing moments where you've had to speak in front of someone with something on your face like you're talking about. You had those other things happen. You look in the mirror every day, and after a while, you do have to just get comfortable and say, I'm a little older. I still look good, doggone it.
Yeah.
And I'm going to go out there. But it takes a while. I think we have to
It
train
does.
ourselves,
It
because
does.
I remember being 16 years old. I wasn't allowed to wear makeup or just a little bit of lipstick until I was 16. I waited for that day. I
Yes.
waited. And then it had to be so pale and so slight. And that's all I did throughout high school. The second I turned 18 and graduated, boy, on went the mascara. It felt like it was just in my genes. I don't know. What is it like with younger women?
That's my big question. I know we are socialized to be more into our looks as women, but my question is, are we naturally more into beauty? Are we you're saying that you wanted to put on makeup.
It was young,
Yeah.
and it felt
Who
like it, but we
knows?
had TV, so I don't
Right.
know what the influences were.
And personally, sometimes when I put on makeup, I'm like, who am I doing this for? Am I doing this for, possible men I will attract, or am I doing this for myself? So I think that's also a question. Who are you changing
That's
yourself
a very
for?
good question.
Yeah.
Very good question.
I've heard that women groom for men, and they dress for the women that they're going to be seeing, or maybe groom to impress men and dress to impress other women. Has anyone ever heard that?
Something like
I've
that.
heard that.
Yeah.
I think a lot of it has to do also with what you see in the mirror. And I know because I grew up not liking what I saw in the mirror, I didn't have the same image of myself as other people might have. So sometimes if you don't like what you see in the mirror, you use makeup or you use certain clothing or you find ways to make yourself closer to what you see in your head.
Yes.
And it doesn't have to be a weight thing. It could be anything. It could be your age. It could be just your circumstances in life. You have a blemish on your face. We want to make what we see in the mirror match what we feel inside.
That's really true. I remember thinking, my face is very plain, and when I started wearing makeup, I thought my face is a canvas. So I always had to,
Oh, I
and
like
I would
that.
put makeup on depending on my mood for the day.
And then my question is this: are we inherent perfectionists? So, like, do we change ourselves to make ourselves? Obviously, we try to change ourselves to make ourselves look more perfect to what. My question is it wrong for us to want to perfect ourselves? Is it wrong that we want to make ourselves more perfect? Is that a bad?
I don't think
that
so.
that was my question.
Well, I don't know if it's the word perfect or make ourselves look better in our eyes. My older daughter
Stronger,
wears
yeah.
no makeup except for mascara, and she's got these beautiful long curly eyelashes.
remember those,
And she lots of times will have men and women say to her, I wish I could look like you without wearing makeup. And she is sort of averse to it. And she said it's amazing how many men will say to her as well, it's so nice to see a woman without all that junk on their face.
And I
Yes,
think there's so many
exactly.
layers to the issue of appearance. I mean,
Yeah.
there are some pieces that are socialization. You know, we see it on TV. You know, you see the models or the clothing that's sold, who has it on. And that can sometimes impact us in a way that may not be healthy, especially if that's not our body image or if that's not our hair color. But even bringing it to an issue of race, growing up in Minnesota, you know, and in a time where it wasn't, you know, mainstream, you had to go to a special store to find skin tone pantyhose and makeup
yeah.
that matched your complexion. And so you're already during that puberty stage where you're trying to figure out, where do I fit in as a woman, as a girl that's trying to grow
Yeah,
up to
yeah.
become a woman. And then there's nothing there that matches who you are,
Yeah.
you know. And I clearly remember thinking, like, okay, so why is this? And I had parents that spoke positively about who we were and who we are and pride. But when you're not finding it in the media,
Yeah,
and they're
right.
defining
Yeah, definitely.
who we are and what we should look like, that brings in a whole nother level of accepting yourself and accepting who you are. So sometimes it's not even about trying to be perfect or be beautiful. It's, why is there no one that looks like me? And then do I have to do something different, or is there something wrong
I like that.
because there's no one that looks like me?
Well, I think the media plays a huge role in diminishing our self-esteem, and they hold us up to this image of somebody who's been photoshopped, and that this is what we're supposed to look like, and nobody's going to look like that. My little granddaughter, who is 7, the family was on a trip, and my daughter and my granddaughter were sitting on the couch, and my daughter was kind of just massaging her little feet and her legs, and she felt her legs, and it was stubble. Now she's 7. And Jill, my daughter, turned to my granddaughter Reese and said, Reese, what did you do? Sure enough, she had shaved both her legs and both her arms. And Jill said, what did you do that for? And she says, because I have more hair than my girlfriends do.
Okay.
Now she's 7, and of course, so then Jill got into nice little messages about body image and blah blah blah. But where in the world did she get that about just hair, for example?
I love that you're saying that, because my little sister, when she was really young too, this older girl in the neighborhood she would be like, your hair is you very hairy legs. You know, she'd make fun of her for it. My sister was very young, probably around that age. And my sister went home and she shaved her legs and she like cut herself. But yeah, that's really great to talk about. Why is it that women are naturally we grow hair
Yes.
in certain areas, right?
Right.
Why are we
Why do we
pressured
shave?
to be
And
shaven like
they
babies?
don't do that in Europe.
It's
when my
different
kids
in
went to Europe and they studied abroad, you know, they didn't shave their legs, they didn't shave under their arms,
Right.
and they came home that way, and I went, oh, you know, I
Yeah.
tried to be real
Right.
accepting, but
I know.
and one of my daughters stayed that way for quite a while, and I thought, okay then, that's
Right, we're conditioned to even believe that. Like even me, because I'm so used to like everything being shaved, I'm like, oh, I don't know about that. You know,
Yeah,
like, everything's
yeah.
hairy right now. But
Yeah.
it makes you wonder what's wrong with hair.
I
It
know.
naturally grows.
I think
underneath
it
your
also goes
armpits.
back to
Yeah.
what Susan had mentioned about
Yeah.
how we're socialized as well, because there were the T-shirts that came out. I don't know if you all saw it, but one T-shirt said for a future Batman, and the next shirt was pink and said Batman's
yes.
future girlfriend.
Yes.
So for men, it's about what you do. And for
Testosterone.
women, it's about what you
look like. You're right.
And the man you associate with. Oh, which brings
That
me
too.
to men, in my estimation, and men that I've known, primp almost as much. I've had to fight for the bathroom, so we think sometimes that men don't do that much and don't worry that much about their looks, but they spend a lot of time in the bathroom too. Have you guys experienced that?
Well, I'm not hooked up with anybody anymore, but I do think that some men are going to be more prone to preening and whatever
Yeah.
than we are.
Yeah.
But or not maybe than we are, but than other men.
Than other men.
I still think that
Not
as
as-
women,
yeah.
we've got too much pressure from
still
all
win.
of society. Yes.
Yeah.
And I think men do, when they're at the gym or,
Yes.
at the, office, wherever they are, they do get some pressure from each other, they're not going to tell each other, but, they'll feel like, oh, I should do this or I should do that. But I think, so that's kind of their peer groups or, their social groups. For women, I literally think it's just a multi-billion-dollar industry. It's
You're
not
right.
even just our peers. It's
Right.
like the industry that's telling
You're
us how
right.
we need to look. And men, it's just kind of when I'm with my friends or my buddies, oh, shoot, I should do that. And then it's usually just for a particular period of time. And then it's over during that season of life. Women, it's our entire, at every stage of our life or our development, there's some sort of ad campaign that's telling us, we should look this way or what we should strive to be like.
And some of it is in the information that's available to you. When I was growing up, my mom didn't wear makeup, so I didn't know anything about makeup. I went to a Mary Kay party the other day, and this woman was busting out all these vials and bottles. I'm like, I don't even know what half of this stuff is for. Like, what is this for? And people were buying it by the sackful. I mean, I didn't even understand. I don't know how to use all of it or what it's for.
I do think, too, that a lot of our appearance is socialized, but I also think it's sexualized. I think we start sexualizing females, for example, at very young ages. When I was writing my book, one of the things that came out is that over in Europe, they actually had a pole dancing kit that you would buy for toddlers to teach them how to pole dance.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, seriously. And that they wore skimpy little clothes as they were pole dancing. And when you look at even the social media that's come out and some of the games, it ties in with the violence towards women plus the sexualization. So I think that sexualizing girls, because it starts very, very young, that sexualizing the girls and teenagers and young women plays a role in our appearance and how we view ourselves. Am I sexy? Or do I look nice and clean cut? Or am I attractive? Whatever attractive means. And I think often we put attractive with sexy.
I think more and more women are defining, who they are as a woman, and they're taking on their own look, their own, sort of appearance or their fashion statement, whether it's through their hair color, their makeup. And women are saying, you know what, this is who I am, like it or not. And I think we have more and more women. It's isolated cases,
Yes.
but you're starting to see more. So now it looks like there's a look for everybody out there. So regardless of who you are, at whatever weight you are, whatever, however your hair is, whatever it is, there's somebody out there that is trying to make a statement so that you feel like I look okay the way that I am.
Yes.
Because believe it or not, we are sometimes trying to find that validation from what's out there sort of in the media or just even beyond our peer groups. I mean, that's just kind of how it is.
And we're talking about appearance from the U.S. It would be interesting to have women here from some other countries to see what challenges they wrestle with. I know in France, my gosh, every single woman is thin like you. I mean, you don't see people that are overweight, but they do a lot of walking. And they're same within Thailand. We didn't see any people that were overweight if you look at appearance. And then they've got these beautiful clothes that they wear. I'm trying to think about makeup when I was in Thailand, and I don't remember much about makeup.
I do know. I've been fortunate enough to travel internationally. I've been in Dubai. I've been in India. And the way, even people who wear the full gear and they're covered completely,
Their
they
eyes.
still do makeup. They still put, because I've seen them in the salon when they were getting their eyebrows done, or, they
Yep, their
still get the
eyes.
normal salon
Yeah.
services. They're doing the full shebang, even though they're covered from head to toe. So even when you can't even see them, they're still putting that effort into
Yeah.
their appearance.
That's
Or they would put like glitter and brand names on the outside of their hijab. So,
Yes.
they're
Yes,
still
they
interested
do.
in looking a certain way, even if you can't see all of them.
Yeah.
That's appearance.
It
appearance.
is.
Stare their appearance.
Yeah, it's, and again, I still think that very often it gets tied into sexualization.
Well, I mean, and you look at, everything goes back to sort of dollars and cents. I mean, think about Hollywood. You know, and I was watching a special on the news, and they had a woman, I think she was a size 8, and she was considered a plus-size model.
I saw
And so
something like
but
that.
it's Hollywood, and we're not just selling movies, we're selling an image, we're selling a look. And so we invest a whole lot of money, a whole lot of marketing, a whole lot of everything into that, so that not only do you buy into this that you'll never be able to obtain,
Yes,
but
right.
you start then trying to spend money to get there as well, and then we're entertained by it. So it becomes sort of the thing that we're all aspiring to be like. I
Well,
mean, that's what it boils down to.
And all the cosmetic surgery. Geez, I'd love to have a tummy tuck. And I was just reading that Julia Roberts said she's not having any cosmetic surgery done, and she says, I'm afraid that it might end up hurting my career. My sister had bilateral mastectomies for breast cancer, and she's also on a drug that inhibits hair growth. And she did not get breast reconstruction. She has not bought a wig, even though her hair is very skimpy. And she just says, this is the way I am for now. And she didn't care.
And she's working with it.
She is. I don't know that I'd be able to do what she did, but yeah.
I think this will always be a forever evolving conversation. But thank you for your input and your opinion on just a topic that I think we'll be talking about forever. Hi, I'm Junita Cathey with It's a Woman's World, and I have the pleasure of interviewing Bonnie Peace Watkins today. Bonnie, you are doing a fabulous documentary entitled Unfinished Business, The Future of the American Women's Movement.
Very good.
Tell me a little bit more about that.
It's such a long name, not everybody gets it right. Well, I've been an active feminist for 40 years, and at this point in my life, I'm 64 years old now. I am kind of not only looking back, but looking forward and saying, what's it all about? What lessons did we learn? How much progress did we make? And the short answer is, not enough progress. There's still some major, major issues for women and girls, as you know, Junita. So I've been going around interviewing women. I've done 41 interviews on tape in 8 states so far, and asking women, what do we need to fix this? What is the future? What are the strategies we need now to make the change for women? In my lifetime, I hope. And it's really interesting. So I have published so far 2 excerpts, 2 30-minute segments. Eventually there will be 15 30-minute segments, so it's a huge, long mini-series, television mini-series. And then there's an ebook that goes with it where I add some text to it.
Wow, this just seems like a plethora of information. How could people get more information on how to view the project or to get more information about the project in general?
Well, there's a website where I'm putting everything as I get it together, including the list of all the people I've interviewed so far but haven't yet edited. But the website is unfinishedbusinessusa.com. And I put the USA in there very intentionally, by the way, because when I go around talking to people about women, so many women go, yeah, but what about the women in Gaza? You know, and I just go, there's lots of problems for women all over the world, but frankly, from the other women's point of view, the United States women don't have their act together. We need to be talking to each other more, so I'm trying to keep that focus on the United States.
Well, Bonnie, thank you so much for taking on this task. It sounds fabulous and sounds like a lot of work has gone into getting the content and in interviewing the subjects that are going to help bring this documentary to life. And thank you for joining us on It's a Woman's World. We'll see you next time.